What is up, bros and broettes? I am Inkslasher, and today we're going to be talking about a massive leak that came out in Call of Duty World War II. Now, this actually came out 4 days ago, but I didn't see many people cover it in videos on YouTube, or really any of that, so I thought I would go about covering it today. And I'm sorry I didn't cover it earlier. Over the weekend, I was actually studying up for my final exams ever in school. I'm actually completely done college now, so I never really have to study for that again. So now all my time is going to be dedicated to YouTube videos and that kind of thing. So no longer do you guys have to worry about me missing uploads or anything like that. So I can talk about that in another video. This video is going to be about 3 things in particular. First of all, 13 new weapon files that were found in the game. Then after that, we're going to talk about a new division that was found. And finally, something new called face camos, and we'll talk about that one at the end of the video. I think the best place to start on this one is by talking about the 13 new weapons that were found in the game. So the first thing I have to mention when we bring this up is that just because they found all 13 of these weapons doesn't mean it's 100% that all of these weapons will be coming to the game, let alone all at the same time. In fact, I would put my money that these are going to be split over maybe 2-3 DLC drops. So pretty much guaranteed they're not all going to come out all at once. On top of that, a lot of the time they put game files for weapons into the game that don't actually come into the game, so some of these may not make it, but for sure, some of these will eventually be making it into the game. So now I'm just going to talk about every single one of these weapons, talk about what these weapons were in the history of the real world, and then talk about what you should expect for these weapons in-game. Now, the first weapon we're looking at is the KGM-21. Now, the KGM-21 was basically a Swedish version of the BAR, the Browning Automatic Rifle. Now, it's kind of unclear whether or not this weapon is going to be an LMG or an assault rifle. In real life, the box magazine that fed this weapon would have been 20 rounds, which is extremely small for it to be an LMG in-game, so maybe it'll be more like the BAR. It looks extremely similar to it, but as I mentioned, the KG stands for Kulsprut Gevar. I'm sorry if I butchered that, and then the M21, so it's manufactured in 1921. That's what that part stands for. But the other part, the Kulsprut Gevar, or however you pronounce that, is Swedish for machine rifle. So that kind of gives you the explanation of that weapon in a nutshell. The next weapon is called the ZK383. Now, this is a Czechoslovakian weapon. It's a submachine gun that is most openly compared to the Bren. As far as the real-world stats on the weapon, it had a 30-round magazine, and its fire rate was anywhere between 500 and 700 RPM. The thing with this weapon is it was vastly different after World War II. What you're seeing on screen here is the World War II version of the weapon with a side-fed magazine, whereas the post-World War II version is a bottom-fed magazine. So that's the main difference between the two. The next weapon we got here is called the Austin, or the AU Sten, which is actually the Aussie version, or Australian version, of the Sten. So it has extremely similar stats to that. It's a 500 round fire rate and finally a 32 round magazine. So very similar to a weapon that's already in the game, just an Australian version of it. The next weapon we have is called the Bekowik, or Bekowik. I don't know the proper way of saying it. It's a Polish weapon. Technically, it could be classified as a German weapon because it was made in Poland while it was occupied by Germany. But it's a very odd weapon. It could both be classified as an SMG or a machine pistol, so kind of unclear what it will be in-game. It's a smaller sized SMG, and a lot of German soldiers who had this weapon use it as a sidearm, more like a pistol, than an SMG. As I mentioned, a smaller size could be considered a machine pistol because of that as well, but truly, its weapon size was more similar to a smaller SMG than a machine pistol, so it's hard to say what it will be in-game. As far as stats, I read several different things, fire rates ranging from 365 to 700, so very random there, but it normally had a box magazine of 32 rounds, which would be interesting for a machine pistol in Call of Duty, so kind of unclear what this one will look like in-game. The next weapon we got here is once again made in Poland, well occupied by Germany. It's called the Błyskawica. Once again, sorry if I butchered the name. This one is once again an SMG. It's an interesting looking one. It's almost like a mix between an MP40 and a Sten. It's kind of like the Polish version of the Sten, that's how they describe it, but it's really interesting looking, and this is kind of one of the ones I'm more looking forward to, hopefully coming into the game. As far as real-world stats, it's got a 600 round RPM, which is pretty good, would be decent in the game, and once again, it has that 32 round box magazine, similar to other weapons we've looked at so far. The next weapon we got here is by far the weirdest out of any of them. I've never seen this before, but it's called the EMP-44. Now, a lot of you may be thinking this is the same as an MP-40, MP44 and MP40. It is a German weapon. However, as you can see on screen, this thing looks weird. It is an SMG. It does take a 32 round magazine. The weird part about it is the stock. It has a very long stock that doesn't look very comfortable. Normally SMGs don't have that long of stocks, so it's very odd. It's a very odd looking weapon, hence why it's not normally in video games. But to me, that's what makes it cool. That's what makes me want to use it in game. So I'm really looking forward to see how they introduce this one. The next one I think a lot of people are going to be excited about. It's the Mosin, or the mosin-nagant. This is a Russian weapon. It is one of the most popular sniper rifles throughout World War II. I was actually surprised that this one wasn't already in the game at release. So this is one I can definitely see them bringing to the game pretty soon, even though they already just recently introduced the Arasakas. But this one is definitely one I'm looking forward to getting my hands on. I love this one in Call of Duty World at War. Really looking forward to it in this game. Speaking of weapons from Call of Duty World at War, the next one is the Ptr S41, or just the PTRS from World at War. This is basically a massive, massive sniper rifle. It was actually an anti-tank weapon during World War II, but of course we don't have a ton of tanks in Call of Duty World War II, the game, so this is going to be a sniper rifle, and it's a really big sniper rifle. It was known in Call of Duty World at War for literally blowing off people's body parts, so I can't wait to see this thing in Call of Duty World War II. Can't wait to see how many arms I can take off in this game as well. The next weapon is very odd. It's a really, really weird weapon. It was created by the Koreans and given to the United Kingdom during World War II. It's called the De La Ciel, and it's a Commando Carbine, but this one is a semi-automatic weapon. The interesting thing about this weapon is it has extremely low fire rate at about 20 to 30 rounds per minute. That being said, I'm sure it will be faster in Call of Duty World War II, but the real interesting part about this weapon is it shot subsonic ammunition and had a built-in suppressor, which means it's extremely quiet, and some say that this may be the quietest weapon of all time. The weird part about this is, as of right now, assault rifles in World War II, you cannot use a suppressor on assault rifles. I'm wondering if when they introduce this weapon, that will change, because, as I mentioned, the claim to fame of this weapon is being super quiet and having a built-in suppressor. So it'll be really interesting to see what they do with this weapon. The next one is one I've actually never heard of before. It's called the Carcano, or the Carcano Modello. It's an Italian weapon. Like I said, I've never heard of it before, yet it was very popular throughout many wars, one of which was World War II. Now, it's a bolt-action rifle that is a box-fed rifle, so you don't have to put in every single bullet. But it's an interesting one. Like I said, I've never heard it before, but it was extremely, extremely popular. So far, this is the third sniper rifle we've looked at. So it looks like they're planning on adding a lot more snipers into World War II. The next one I really shouldn't have to explain. It's a sword. There's really not much more to say about that one. The next one is called the Ryby Rolls. This one was actually made in 1918, not during World War II, but this one's technically an SMG, but I could also see them making this a machine pistol in Call of Duty World War II, so kind of depending on where they wanted it in game. The final weapon is another French weapon called the Châtel Roulette. I butchered the hell out of that name, but this is a French LMG, and the weird part about this entire list of weapons up until this point is that there are no shotguns. Not one of those weapons was a new shotgun, which is really weird and really surprising to me. So there may be more weapons than this added into the game, maybe some new shotguns, or these may be the only weapons being added throughout the game, maybe for the rest of the life cycle, or maybe just in the next coming months. I'm kind of unsure, but those are some weapons we definitely have to look forward to coming to the game. The couple that I'm definitely looking the most forward to include the EMP44 and finally the PTRS, so a lot of fun will be had with those once they come out. The next thing that got leaked was the DLC3 war map. It will take place in Tunisia in North Africa. That's really all there is to say about that one. Then there's the new Division, and I don't think this is going to be coming out anytime soon because this division really just doesn't make any sense. It's a specialist-based division, so basically the more kills you get or the bigger kill streak you get, the better that division gets in-game. Now, it's unclear whether or not you have to get kill streaks or whether just your amount of kills in-game make you a better soldier. For example, the first one here is you get 3 basic training skills based on the amount of kills you get. At 5 kills you get 1 extra skill, 10 kills you get 2, and 15 kills you get 3. Like I said, it's unclear whether or not that's going to be a kill streak based or just the amount of total kills you get in a game. The other 3 things that get added based on amount of kills include damage resistance to explosives, increased sprint speed, and finally decreased recoil based on the amount of headshot kills you get in game. And once again, it's rather unclear whether this is kills per game or whether it's actual streaks getting headshots. It's very unclear. I'm not going to go much more in depth with it other than that until we get more information on this one. But if you would like to read the article, I'll link it down below. And then the final thing we have to talk about that got leaked is face camos. So it's unsure whether this is just going to be a face paint thing, something you can just add to your soldier, or whether this is going to be something you get out of supply drops. Personally, I hope you can just customize it, make it however you want it, simply because I don't want more dilution of the supply drop pool. They already took out weapon or pistol grips. I don't want them adding something in conjunction with that to kind of dilute the pool once again. So hopefully it's something you can fully customize yourself, but only time will really tell, so we'll have to wait and see on that one. So guys, that's pretty much it. Those are all the leaks they found within the new game files, and I'm curious to know what you guys have to say. There's a lot of new weapons to be added in. There's a new division. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Do you think everything that they're adding is going to be good, bad, ugly? Let me know what you think down in the comments. Also, if you're new to the channel and like what you see, it'd be awesome if you could hit that subscribe button, and also if you enjoyed the video, I really do appreciate it when you hit that like button. But guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, peace out.